Welcome to WonderCon. Welcome to Film Threats Mega Movie War 2017. We're going to go through all the big films for 2017. Actually, we made a list of 17 films coming out in 2017 that we think are worth talking about, discussing, debating, hating, and loving. Let me introduce our all-star panel here at WonderCon, and I should introduce myself. I am Chris Gore, sometimes known as That Chris Gore. This is the Film Threat Podcast, live here at WonderCon 2017. That was a very quick applause break. Okay, our first panelist, returning champion, Cliff Stephenson.
Hello, everyone.
Another returning champion, Matt Keil. And of course, all-star, Charlie de Lauzirika. And the new kid, it's Anthony Ray Bench.
Hi, everyone.
Big round of applause. Anthony is my co-host on the Film Threat Podcast, which is downloadable on iTunes and all your favorite podcast listening formats. All right, I want to get right into it. There's so many movies to discuss. I'm going to throw out a film. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to talk about each of these movies. We'll try to get through as many as we possibly can. We're going to go through in approximate order of release, try to get through the end of 2017, but let's hit it. I want to hear what you guys think about Fate of the Furious. Fate of the Furious, I think it sounds...
All right.
What? Okay, I want to hear it.
Okay.
I want to hear your, because to my opinion on all the Fate of the Furious movies is that it's like a little kid playing with cars going, and then the car smashes on this car and it goes like this and blah, 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 blah. Except there's no kid. It's like actual real life world physics applied to a child playing with cars.
Well,
which may or may not be a bad thing.
It's a bizarre series because, as everybody knows, I mean, in the middle of this series, they took a complete turn, and it went from what it was to what it has become, which is this sort of crime action heist series. But the first time I saw the trailer for Fate of the Furious, this is the one where I'm looking at it going, all right, really? Like, as crazy as everything's been, the first trailer looked like they had a pitch meeting where they were just like, throw out ideas. Throw out every idea you can think of. And then at the end of the meeting, they were like, great, throw it all in the script. And the trailer itself is 3 minutes plus. This movie looks like it is so packed with stuff that I'm a little nervous, but I've heard from people who've seen it that said it's really good.
Yeah, there's a submarine chase on the ice.
I'm starting to turn a little bit, but it feels so, and they're making Statham part of the team now, and it just looks crazy. It looked crazy in a bad way, but I'm hearing good things about it, so I'm starting to turn a little bit on it.
Okay, Matt Keil.
Well, I'm really looking forward to it. I love what those movies have become. And of course, Statham has to be part of the team because after you fight the family, you become part of the family. The Rock is amazing. It's basically a superhero movie, except instead of Iron Man suits, they have cars. They're invincible when they're in their cars. Like that's how it works.
So what you're saying, because you told me once you had a great idea for a mashup series.
Oh, I actually wrote a screenplay in which crosses over the Michael Bay Transformers and the Fast and the Furious characters. Because they're the same thing. Like it's basically they all pair up with different robots and they destroy San Francisco. It's great.
And what's the status of the screenplay?
Unbought, oddly enough.
Wait,
so right now it's fanfic, basically.
Yeah.
Does everybody know about Fast 9? The weekend script that got written about them going back in time to fight Hitler? to race Hitler?
Are you joking?
No, it's a real script. The guy wrote it in a weekend, and it's basically, that's why Paul Walker's missing. He's gone back in time. They all have to go back in time because Hitler has a car fetish, and it's called the Master Race, and they actually have this huge race where they race Hitler for the future of mankind, and it's called Fast 9, N-E-I-N. It's amazing.
I get it.
Wow. Charlie, what's your opinion on Fate of the Furious? And if you don't have one, you can feel free to pass.
Pass.
Anthony.
No, really quick. I have to apologize. I feel like the worst film fan ever. I have not seen a single Fast and Furious movie.
Neither have I.
And I feel like I've come this far. Do I die? Cliff very kindly lent me all of his Blu-rays, and it still sits in a box. in the house. So,
Do it.
All right. Pass.
Okay, Anthony, you're passing.
Yeah, he took the words right out of my mouth.
Next, Transformers: The Last Night.
Pass.
I'm a pass just because I feel like I've been burned 4 times now, and every time I go, not this time. He's changed. It's different. And every time, like everyone's been worse than the last. And I mean, the last one was just like, it was such a giant F you.
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally. It was like a movie that was built on. Somebody dared Michael Bay, like, throw beats into this. And he was like, I'll throw beats into this. Watch this. You want to throw, you want Bud Light? You want to make a deal with Bud Light? I'll make the most crass, obvious Bud Light. So I have very little faith that they are going to write this ship 5 movies in.
Now, I know Matt Keil was the Transformers expert on Attack of the Show. Maybe some of you recognize him.
Nobody saw that.
I'm sure it's on YouTube. But I know that you have very strong opinions because you're a Transformers collector.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So where do you stand on Last Night?
Well, I mean, they've all been pretty terrible. So the thing I like about the Transformers movies is the sequels have all been utterly, just absolutely garbage, but they've all been terrible in different ways. So, like, everyone has their least favorite, and it says something about you as a person, like, which one offended you the most. Like, that's what I think it's like a kaleidoscope of, like, terrible things, and Michael Bay tries to surprise us every time with, like last time, it was just really gross. It was like there was a 5-minute statutory rape joke, and then, like, they spent the rest of the movie showing the ass of the character that they, like, really drove in to you that she was 17. And it was just like, oh, that's great, Michael. That's a good approach for this one. And then Optimus Prime murdered Frasier. It was just like, I don't know what they're doing in these movies, but I'm kind of, I see them opening day every single time so I can have the argument online about why they're terrible. And I'm part of the problem. And, but I can't wait to see how he makes me leave that theater wanting a shower this time. Like, it's
But
kind of a...
isn't half the fun of seeing a Transformers movie is then hating on it after?
Like, yeah, like what kind of how is he going to make them gross this time? Like, which ones are going to drool? And, like, I mean, I don't get what he's after with these movies, except, billions and billions of dollars. I am interested in that, like, the Revenge of the Fallen, the second one, made the most money domestically, and then each sequel has made progressively less money as we've gone along. I think the third one made $50 million less than the second one, and the fourth one made $100 million less than the third one. So America is learning, but... Like internationally, it's getting bigger and bigger. So I'm interested to see if this one makes even less money domestically, or if they can turn it around and bring us back in somehow.
A film that I'm really looking forward to, Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2. I am pumped to see it. Every trailer is more fun than the last. There was the rumor that floated that it got a perfect score, 100 at test screenings. Where do we stand? Let's start on this end, Anthony, and we'll work our way down. Quick opinions on Guardians 2.
Sure, I love it. I love the additions to the cast. Kurt Russell is going to be great as Ego, the living planet. Or he's playing an avatar, I guess, because he's not big enough to play Planet. I mean, he's a big enough star, but it looks fantastic. The trailers have both been really, really fun, and the first one was great. I'm definitely going to be there opening night.
Cool. Charlie.
I can't wait to see it. I mean, James Gunn is just on fire right now creatively, and I'm really excited to see what he does with this film. And I'm really excited not just by Kurt Russell being in it, but Sylvester Stallone is in it. So we got a Tango and Cash reunion in this film, which is really exciting. When are we seeing it? We're seeing it
Opening night, which is Thursday at 7.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. The first film was such a surprise, such a kind of like in Marvel terms, kind of a sleeper hit. Like, I don't think people were expecting it to be as big as it was, and now they know. So I'm really excited to see the band get back together.
Yeah, no one knew who these characters were before this movie came out, and it just exploded. It was really kind of the Marvel test. Like, people knew who Iron Man was back in the day, but they didn't really care. But these characters were just so obscure, and just to see it become this big phenomenon was really cool, and a really strong indicator that Marvel knew what they were doing, and they can make gold out of these obscure characters.
Yeah, I mean, that's my second most anticipated movie of the year, I would say. I love the first one. Like, I go back and forth on, like, which is the best Marvel movie, but Guardians is one of them. Every once in a while, I think Guardians is the best. I can't wait. Like, no question. Like, it's like one of the.
I love how excited you guys are and somber at the same time. I'm really loving it. I can't
Really
wait for
excited.
Guardians too.
Can't wait.
I think
It's
really
day
awesome.
3 of WonderCon.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It is the third day at WonderCon. We all have convention voice.
Yeah.
So,
I'm super excited to see it. But actually, what I'm really excited about is the fact that it's made my 7-year-old son love really great music. Like, he asks to listen to Fleetwood Mac now, and so I tweeted to James and I was like, thank you, if for nothing else, thank you for giving my son like awesome music that he loves to listen to.
well, I think we'd all agree this is a perfect score on this panel. That we're all excited to see that. I think it's going to be amazing. What is the post-credits scene going to be? That's what I'm very curious about.
I want Howard the Duck to come back.
Yeah. I want like all the Guardian sequels to make up like a 15-minute short of like Howard the Duck going on an adventure.
Any speculation?
I mean, would it be Thor? Because Thor's going to be the next movie
That's
out
true.
the gate. So
No, Spider-Man.
Last time we saw him, he
That
got a
doesn't
free
tie
beer
in
from
that
Doctor
well.
Strange.
I would say it's either going to be Thor or like another Thanos teaser for Infinity War.
Although
Because Guardians is going to probably be Infinity War is probably going to start in space with the Guardians and Thanos, I would imagine.
Right. Okay, moving on. Our next, Alien Covenant. Will Alien Covenant right the ship? Because this is the film that is supposed to take off from where Prometheus left us, right? David is going to be back, the headless David, right? That's not a spoiler. That's been widely reported. So where do we stand on that? I really want to know what Charlie de Lauzirika has to say.
Pass.
Okay.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I love Alien, and I love all the films, for better or for worse. And I'm excited to see the latest installment. I already know the story. I kind of know where it's going, so I'm curious to see how they pull it off.
Cool.
I'll say I didn't realize how little interest I actually had in this until that last poster came out, which everybody was kind of falling all over themselves. But I looked at it, and it kind of...
Was it the head? Just
The one that was all the shapes and the different...
The Sons of Anarchy poster.
Yeah, but it kind of literally illustrated what I kind of feel is wrong with this, which is the franchise was not really about the aliens. It was always about Ripley. It was always the story of her survival, and it's the reason that Aliens, and Alien 3 to a certain extent all work, and the Alien Resurrection kind of doesn't work, is because I don't really care about the aliens, and I don't care to know where they came from. I don't care to know what they're like. They work better. The less you know about them, the better they work. And so it just sort of illustrated to me why I think this has gone a little bit off track, which is they're telling the wrong story.
Is it? Have we gotten to this point now where everything is sort of reference nostalgia? We don't we were talking about the Han Solo movie that's coming up. It's a couple years, but do I need to know his backstory? Did I need to know that he had a mentor who used to work at the Cheers bar? Like what?
No.
You know, like I feel like when you take the mystery out of it,
you didn't know it.
Well, I think when you take the mystery out of films and you explain everything, I think what it does is it betrays your imagination.
Well,
because
it's the problem with the prequels.
What was cool about seeing these movies in their virgin form before all of the, they turned into franchises, or even studios knew what franchises were, we could count on our imagination. We made up our own fanfic in our minds with the toys, right? Or with whatever it was that was available, and there was very little of it. But now we live in this place where everything's going to be explained.
I'm not sure I'd compare Covenant to the Han Solo movie, because I still, in my heart of hearts, hope and pray the Han Solo movie is more like Casino Royale, which is technically a prequel and is technically showing Bond getting started, but it was so well handled and so beautifully integrated in terms of those first moments for Bond, to see him in the tuxedo for the first time. That was really cool to see. So I don't think Han Solo has to be as bad as Cliff imagines it being. I know he just has nightmares about it, to which I say, don't go see it. But I'm dying to see Han Solo. So I don't think it's the same kind of prequel. There's all different types of prequels, and I think Covenant is following a path that's already been long started, and Han Solo could be a fresh new breath in the saga.
Dude, people like us feel like this weird, unexplained compulsion to see movies, even though we know they're going to be terrible.
Yeah,
not always.
No, it's hard to be like, there's a Star Wars movie coming out, and it looks terrible, or I have no interest in seeing it, but it says Star Wars, so I got to be there.
Yeah. Well, Alien Covenant, like my thing with that is like I kind of want to see it because even when Ridley Scott makes a bad movie, he makes a beautiful movie.
Yes.
Yeah. But like Alien Covenant needs to convince me that I would have a better time going to the theater to see that than staying home and watching Alien on Blu-ray again. And so far, it has not done that.
Well, speaking of righting the ship, Pirates 5 or Pirates Dead Men Tell No Tales. Do we care about the Pirates movies anymore? I thought the first one was great.
Like, is the subtitle about Johnny Depp's career or what?
You mean a sinking ship? Is that what you're
Dead Men Telling No Tales? Like, the man needs a hit, let's face it.
Well, I mean, the one thing we can count on is Johnny Depp's performance will be wacky.
But good weird or bad? Like, he does good weird and bad weird, you know?
Right.
The thing is, like, Jack Sparrow was never supposed to be a central character. Like, he's a foil.
He was the sidekick.
He's a sidekick. He highlights stuff, like, and then trying to focus the whole movie on him for the last. God, have there been 4 of those things?
Yeah.
Wow.
But you know what they say? The
I don't
fifth
remember
movie in
the
a series
fourth
is always the best one, right? Empire Strikes Back. So, what? The 5th movie in a series, right?
No one has ever said that. No one.
Okay, well, I can just repeat that. Speaking of righting the ship, Wonder Woman. Is the DC movie universe... Hey, yeah, big applause for Wonder Woman because those trailers have been fantastic. Gal Gadot looks incredible. It looks like Patty Jenkins, the director, has said her inspiration was the original Richard Donner Superman, which was also Christopher Nolan's inspiration for doing Batman Begins. Does Patty Jenkins, does she know what she's doing with this? Everything we've seen looks incredible, but I worry that Zack Snyder might be involved. So, and the DC universe, look, let's think about it. The Marvel universe had plenty of bad movies before the first Iron Man, right? And then Iron Man came out and righted the ship, and now we live in a universe where every Marvel movie we can't wait to see, even if it's a lesser character, because it's the continuation of the story of that universe. So where does Wonder Woman fit into all this? And can Wonder Woman save the universe?
God,
the DC universe.
I want to believe.
Yeah.
Come on, you guys! You have to have a.
I can't wait to see it. I think Wonder Woman's the one thing about Batman vs Superman who I really loved. I thought she was great, and I'm excited to see her standalone movie, especially because it's set in the past and is kind of disconnected a bit from the rock and roll sensibilities of the modern Snyderverse. So I think it'll be a really interesting one-off movie to get her started on her own path, and she's fantastic. It's the one DC movie I'm actually really looking forward to.
I'm actually, I have this weird suspicion that the best DC Expanded Universe movie is going to end up being Aquaman. Even the one thing I like in the Justice League trailer is that they're not doing the grumpy, you land dwellers don't know how important I am Aquaman. They're doing crazy drunk Thor Aquaman. And I feel like in Justin Lin's hands, that could be kind of an awesome movie. And I have this weird feeling that we're going to look back in the DC Cinematic Universe and be like, Aquaman was the most fun we had. And that's crazy. That Aquaman could be one of the best ones.
Well,
remember
we might as well segue into
running gag?
Oh yeah,
that they were doing
James
Aquaman
Cameron's
movie with
Aquaman.
James Cameron,
Right.
and now it's real.
Now it's Aqua,
well,
bro.
we might as well segue into a conversation then about Justice League since I brought up the DC Universe. So where do we stand on Justice League? I will say this, as a fan of Batman, I thought Batman was my favorite part of Batman v Superman. I mean, that movie is hugely flawed, but I like Ben Affleck's performance. I think everyone, he got praise across the board. This new Justice League trailer, though, has me concerned because I was trying to explain it to someone. The Flash's costume looks like a theme park version of Flash's costume. It's all just way too gaudy and shiny and what a theme park thinks a superhero costume would be rather than a practical version, which I think the Marvel Universe has done a great job of introducing superhero characters with fantastical costumes that end up looking pretty amazing because they make it practical, like Captain America's costume and whatnot. So, Justice League, thoughts, Zack Snyder, go.
Yeesh.
The trailer that just came out didn't do anything for me. It looks like Batman v Superman Volume 2.
It also looks like it was shot in a shoebox.
Right.
It really looks. Nothing looks like a real
film.
place in that.
It's not a good looking film. Everything about it just looks off. And my fear is that. I know everybody says, DC shouldn't copy Marvel and everything, they should be separate and do their own thing. But the reality is DC is copying Marvel because they immediately were like, look, we've got one of those Avengers things too. Let's get to it. The problem is Marvel took years to build to Avengers. They took 4 years from the first Iron Man to Avengers to build and introduce characters and do things individually that all built up to Avengers. Warner and DC seemed to go the opposite route, which was get to Justice League as quickly as possible. And I think that Batman v Superman hurts because of how much they overstuffed that movie in order to get all those characters introduced and then not even to introduce them the right way. I mean, those QuickTime...
it was very nice. It was very nice of Luther's R&D to give them all logos.
Yeah, I mean, and that's your introduction to Aquaman is a QuickTime on a computer that.
Yeah. What does the A logo on that stand for? Is that because his name's Arthur? Is that what they call? I don't understand what that all was.
Many problems with that.
So I guess Lex Luthor named
like
the Justice League characters
It
as
just
well
feels
as
like the next evolution of what they've been doing, and I think they feel like we've learned our lesson, but I don't think there's anybody that really is taking hold of that and saying, okay, I think they're afraid to go too far in the other direction, and I don't have a lot of faith that this is going to be that much better.
Have you heard of this thing called, it's the Batman v Superman Arkham cut?
Yes, I have heard of that.
Yeah. You want to talk about it?
Do I want to talk about it?
I've seen it.
Yeah, there's a cut floating around that kind of combines
it improves the
Somebody
movie
on this
greatly.
panel may have recut Batman v Superman. And it doesn't fix all the problems.
It gets rid of Martha.
How did you fix Martha in the
Me,
Arkham
if
cut?
I edited it?
I mean, if you were supposedly had edited
So
a
much
different
subtext.
Basically, you cut around it by Batman. You cut back to basically a flashback of Bruce/Batman having the conversation with Alfred, where he realizes that the rage is the thing that makes good men cruel, and ultimately he just sort of realizes he's Batman, and why is he doing this, and why is he going to kill this man, and he doesn't understand it, and he kind of stops himself.
This is after murdering like 50 dudes before that, right? Like you just straight up
but it's
killed
that
guys.
moment where he sort of, he's got Superman down, and he's getting ready to go, and Lois kind of busts in, and then he has that sort of go through his head again, and it just sort of stops him. It calms him down, and it stops him, and it works.
Well, I'm excited to see if it ever leaks onto the internet. I hope someone leaks it onto the internet.
It is 10 minutes longer than the theatrical cut and 20 minutes shorter than the extended cut.
And where can you see it?
At my house.
Okay, switching from DC to Marvel, Spiderman Homecoming. This is now what the second trailer was released.
Yeah.
I was excited about the first, and then the second trailer came out.
It was
and
a very
looks,
Sony trailer.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like I love
coming to the theater near you. The following plot.
Yeah. It's Sony just has a way of ruining all their movies by over-marketing them, giving away, really focusing on story and things looking way too digital. So Spider-Man Homecoming, cautiously optimistic. Yeah. Where does everyone on the panel stand on that one?
I had no interest in it until this new trailer came out. I'm so tired of Spider-Man, but the new trailer was awesome. It perfectly captured exactly what I love about Spider-Man, the attitude, the character, but it showed way too much of the movie. Way too much. I feel like I know everything that's going to happen in it.
I don't think that's, I totally see what you mean.
Yeah.
But I always felt like, the plot in the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies isn't really that important. You're more there to see the characters and them interacting. And I don't think we've seen everything there. So I'm still looking forward to it. It's been 13 years since we got a good Spider-Man movie. Please, this time, Marvel come through. I think they will. I think it'll be good. I'm optimistic.
I kind of like the Tyler Durden, Michael Keaton. He had that sort of weird jacket with the fur on it. He totally looked like Tyler Durden from Fight Club. We all remember that movie.
That was a long...
From 1990. Yeah, it was 1999. That was a long, many a summers ago.
Last century.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm not all that excited about Spider-Man, mainly because I don't really have faith in Sony.
This is Marvel Studios. Sony's just marketing it.
Yeah, well, but the guy Tom Holland who plays Peter Parker Spider-Man, he's fantastic. In Civil War, he was the breakout star of that movie.
And I'm glad to see Michael Keaton back in superhero stuff, even after Birdman. Maybe we can consider this like an unofficial Birdman 2 a little bit.
In a way, yeah, it is.
Yeah, he's a Birdman.
Yeah. a Birdman.
They made the Vulture look cool. I mean, I didn't think I'd ever say that, but then didn't think I'd say the same thing about Dr. Octopus. Spider-Man 2, I thought Dr. Octopus was stupid my whole life, and I saw Spider-Man 2, and I was scared of him. That was great. Like, they did a great job with him. So maybe they can do the same thing for the Vulture in this one.
Okay, now we all suffered through the trailer for The Mummy with Tom Cruise. A new trailer just came out. Mummy, thoughts? I say no. Go on.
I didn't see the new trailer.
I thought the trailer was fun. I've gotten to the point now where I never bet against Tom Cruise because I think he works so hard. I mean, he busts his ass on every single movie he does, and he always tries to entertain the audience and one-up the last film. So I give him that, and I think that he wouldn't make the movie if he wasn't 100% behind it. So, I mean, I never thought I'd say this like 10 years ago, but now I think Tom Cruise is actually a really great kind of seal of approval in terms of it being a good movie.
Wouldn't a better title be Tom Cruise versus The Mummy?
No, that would be terrible. That'd be a terrible title. But I think, look, I don't know if I'm excited to see it, but I'm not going to say, I'm not going to bet against it for sure.
I'll only counter that with Jack Reacher 2.
Which I never saw, so I can't comment.
All right, moving on. War of the Planet of the Apes. This is now the third ape movie.
I'm super excited about this one.
Yeah, and why are you excited?
Well, Chris and I, we got to go to Fox, what was it, like 2 months ago?
Yeah, a couple months ago.
And we saw a bunch of footage from Alien Covenant and Cure for Wellness, Logan, and War of the Planet of the Apes. And the footage they showed from War of the Planet of the Apes just floored me. I mean, I was just completely blown away by not just the visual effects and the world building, but the emotion. I mean, my God, these computer generated characters, these apes, had more emotion than I've seen in a lot of human actors. And I was in awe. I sat there just with my jaw on the ground watching this, 20 minutes of the movie we saw. So I'm expecting it to be a very, very powerful, gripping experience just because of the sort of like rich characters that we saw even in that little glimpse at Fox a couple months ago. I mean, wouldn't you say the same?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, they introduced kind of this new character that is kind of an ape that just has lived alone a little too long and kind of gone wacky.
He's kind of like Gollum.
Yeah,
I don't know, somebody else.
In a way, but
yeah.
Also a little comic relief as well. So add some levity because it's pretty dark and it seems to segue right into, reminded me a lot of Battle for the Planet of the Apes, which was the fifth in the Ape series from the 70s.
Which is not a great movie,
Which is a terrible movie.
Yeah.
It's terrible. But it's sort of, transitioning to, this is full-on war. I mean, it seems like there's going to be a lot of deaths in this film.
And I think Matt Reeves is a fantastic director. He's directing The Batman now.
Right.
So he's on a really great trajectory. But yeah,
first one?
What's that? He did
First Apes prequel?
No, he did, what was it? Rise, Dawn, War?
He did Dawn.
He did Dawn.
Okay. I mix up Rise and Dawn.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Anyone else on Apes?
Are you looking at me?
Yeah.
It looks fantastic.
That's great.
You're welcome.
It looks amazing.
The second one the first one's great. The second one's better. So I have no reason to think that they're not on that trajectory for the third one to be even better than the second. So yeah, it's probably in my top 3 for the year.
Have you guys noticed a lot of movies are taking characters and visuals from Apocalypse Now, like now more than ever?
Like that Kong poster?
Yeah, the Kong poster, Woody Harrelson basically playing like
Kurtz.
Yeah. It's just really interesting.
Great movie. Why not?
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. It's just like this is the year for it for some reason.
Yeah.
Now, another film that, I just sort of scratch my head and think to myself, why? But Hollywood likes to take a property like Robin Hood, and there's another Robin Hood movie every 5 years. This isn't that, but King Arthur. I saw the trailer.
Pass.
Yeah. I saw the trailer in the theater, and I thought, why are we making King Arthur? What does this say about society and what's happening now? And
King Arthur's shared universe? Are we trying to do that now?
Yeah, are we trying to do the shared universe?
Is that legitimately what they're doing?
I haven't. That was a joke. I might not be wrong. I don't know.
Wake up, Anthony. Wake up.
King Arthur versus Robin Hood coming up. I don't know.
Jesus.
Would it surprise you?
Don't give them ideas.
But yeah, King Arthur, I mean, and I can tell by your lack of enthusiasm, everyone in the audience, that you're not pumped to see that film. I mean, I just wonder, is it studio executives trying to fill a slot in their schedule? Like, what?
Yeah, it's just like, here, we need a fantasy movie. Let's pick the thing that nobody owns. We don't have to pay anybody for the license.
I can just I can predict right now, without having seen King Arthur, that any episode of Game of Thrones is going to be better than King Arthur.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a solid bet.
Yeah, that's a solid bet. No one's going to bet against me on that one. I mean,
No, I'm just gonna stay home and watch First Night again.
I mean, the last 2 episodes of last
Richard
season.
Gere, come on.
What's that?
Richard Gere, First Night. Remember First Night? Richard Gere, Sean Connery.
Yeah. Still, I like Game of Thrones better.
Well, yeah.
And didn't we just have a King Arthur movie like
Yeah.
12, 13 years ago?
Yeah.
if
at the end.
not,
It's
not
like-
sooner.
Keira Knightley and that
There's
weird
a lot of these characters
face
where
paint.
it's like they're constantly trying, like Robin Hood, I think, is one that Hollywood loves, a Robin Hood movie. I'm sure there's a list of these.
Hollywood loves it, but the
domain
audience
character,
doesn't.
so a studio can make a film because everything's branded now. Everything is. I mean, it's so much easier to go into the closet of things you own and pull something out and dust it off and try and pass it off as a new thing than it is to actually scour for new ideas and go. And by the way, we're responsible for that because we keep going to see that. We keep going to see the reboot and the requel and the sequel and all these things. So it does stand to reason that when a studio is looking at something and they go, let's make another robot.
Well, I mean, I think
What was
part
the
of the
last successful King Arthur movie?
Yeah.
I can't. Like
Sword in the
Should they
Excalibur?
just do King Arthur in outer space or something? I remember there was a cartoon that I'm sure no one remembers but me from Canada called Rocket Robin Hood, which I thought was really cool. It was Robin Hood in the future with jetpacks. And it was like almost a Flash Gordon-esque adventure story. Cheesy. I'm sure, I know there are clips on YouTube of it, but Rocket Robin Hood, now that's a different take on Robin Hood.
It's like
That I would-
Pinocchio in outer space kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Remember that?
I would go see that, but I think that the problem is Hollywood doesn't like originality. It's got to be something, a pre-existing franchise, something that has been out in the universe that's existed for some time, and something that's original looking even is difficult. And on that, we should talk about this movie that I hope you guys have checked out the trailer for this. It's Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Yeah, right? Now, it's not a completely original work. It's based on
Based on a French comic book that goes back to the 60s and was actually an inspiration for Star Wars. This is my most anticipated movie of the summer. I'm very excited about this, and I hope it's good. It might not be. It might be terrible. I don't know.
Well, the trailers, there's a
The trailer's like very busy. You know, I believe it's by the same guy who did the production design for Fifth Element for Luc Besson, and now Luc Besson is back doing an adaptation of the comic that he ripped off to make The Fifth Element. But it's just an amazing kind of French space opera comic like adventure thing, and I think it looks really cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I love The Fifth Element minus Ruby Rod. If you could just take that character out of the movie, who's like he's like the Jar Jar of that movie, I think it's a really solid kind of heavy metal magazine style, fantastical science fiction film. So this looks like that because I don't see any evidence of a Ruby Rod or Jar Jar type character in it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, they're keeping that surprise for the film.
Yeah,
They don't want to ruin that.
Yeah, right.
I was quick to write it off based on the trailers, but a friend of mine, he's actually familiar with comics, and he said it looks fantastic and I need to check out the comics, so that's something I plan on doing. I love The Fifth Element as well, and just based on the fact that it's the same director, I'm going to check it out eventually. Probably not first day, but maybe second or third.
Cool. All right, moving on.
You're welcome, Chris.
Baby Driver. Yeah, okay.
Oh,
the
man, you
trailer
guys are in
looks
for a treat.
The trailer looks incredible. We know there's going to be great music in it. Edgar Wright, in my opinion, never disappoints. I mean, there are movies I like, better than other ones, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm a huge fan of everything that guy does. And Baby Driver looks just very original, different. I think the use of music is going to be fantastic. The car chase scenes almost seem rooted in reality and not the ridiculous Fast and the Furious stuff. So has anyone on the panel seen an early screening of Baby Driver and would want to talk about it on the panel? Okay, what'd you think? It's screened at South by Southwest, so I mean, this movie, it's out there. People have seen it and are able to speak about it. So Anthony, you've seen the film. Why don't you tell us about Baby Driver?
I have. It's fantastic. It's so stylish. Like, there's things that are in sync with the music that the character's playing with as far as the car chases go, and it's mind-blowing. Like, you guys are going to flip your lid, especially if you love Edgar Wright's style. I would say it's my favorite Edgar Wright film that isn't based on pre-existing property because I have a special Soft spot for Scott Pilgrim, at least the graphic novels, but it's definitely my favorite like original thing by Edgar Wright. And I love Hot Fuzz. I love Shaun of the Dead. I love everything that he does. Even dating back to space, this is on a whole other level. It's yeah. Anybody else?
I haven't seen it, but that's very high praise.
I would
Now
say,
I'm excited.
First of all, I can feel the enthusiasm from your silence. In addition to that, I could definitely feel that we drank a lot last night. I will say
So much.
Saturday at WonderCon was definitely a hotel hopping, drinking fest, and so if our energy is a little bit low, it's because we haven't started yet, but we will. So look for us in the hotel bars after this. Moving on.
Buying $9 beers.
Moving on, there's unbelievable. Dunkirk is actually coming out as a summer film. It's July, I believe. So the teaser for it looks absolutely incredible. So, and Christopher Nolan, I mean, even when he misses, it's always something that's a visual feast. What about Dunkirk?
I'll see anything Christopher Nolan does, so don't even care.
Yeah.
Like you don't even need to show me anything. Christopher Nolan directed this. Oh, I'm going. I'm in.
See, I wasn't a huge fan of Interstellar.
Neither was I, but
didn't like
I'll
Interstellar.
still see anything he does.
And so
I think
he's,
great.
unfortunately, he's carrying a little bit of stank from Interstellar for me, where I'm kind of like,
Interstellar
all right,
stank.
let some stellar stank. Where I think I want to wait and see. I'll wait and see what people have seen it, have heard. But yeah, I mean, I love that I think he's shooting the entire thing in IMAX. I think,
70 millimeter, yeah.
Yeah, I think the entire thing, so it won't be shifting aspect ratios, it won't be the whole thing.
That's just to get people to get IMAX TVs, right?
Right.
I'm checking if you're paying attention, folks.
So, it could go either way. I think it could go either way. But I do have a little bit of trepidation just based on Interstellar.
Okay. That's fair. I'll accept that. Okay, moving on. Blade Runner 2049. Okay, first of all, I love this mixed reaction in the audience. Was some people like, woo, other people, a mix of groans and a little enthusiasm. But I want to hear what everyone on this panel thinks, because this is something that we're seeing, of course, more and more, is a franchise and a film that was made years ago, and now they're trying to resurrect it. Maybe
I don't think it needs a sequel.
I think just
The
resurrecting
story
it.
was done.
Yeah, but resurrecting it so far long after the fact, it would be like if they made a new Krull movie. Do we need to know what happened with the characters? in
Probably
Krull?
not that far off.
Yeah, well, or the black hole, right? Disney's the black hole. Do we need to know what happened to Vincent? I don't know. Maybe we do. Or Bob. Well, Bob's dead. But Blade Runner 2049, I really want to know where you guys stand on this. I mean, I look at this and I'm thinking like, yeah, I mean, are they just revisiting that universe to tell a different story? Because the story in Blade Runner is done, as you pointed out.
I mean, there's certain things that get me excited when I see a trailer, when I see posters, when I see footage. I have not one time gotten excited by anything I've seen or heard about Blade Runner. It doesn't feel like it's necessary. It feels so opposite of necessary that it's actually turned me off a little bit.
Like, I'm impressed with how much they recreated the visual look, like judging by the trailers, but like that doesn't sustain me for 2 hours in the theater. I mean, I don't understand what the story they intend to tell, particularly involving old Harrison Ford. Like, one way or the other, they're going to do something. And I'm just like, I don't like what that does to the first movie's story in retrospect. And that's what I'm worried about. I mean, I'll probably go see it anyway because it's going to be really pretty and should probably be seen on the big screen. But I probably won't be there day one.
I mean, as some people know, I could talk about this for hours, but I'm not going to because I signed an NDA. But I will say that I'm a huge fan of Denis Villeneuve. I think he's a fantastic director. Roger Deakins is one of the best cinematographers of all time. Johan Johansson's doing the music. I think is going to do a tremendous job. So I'm very curious to see how all these amazing elements come together with what could be maybe a controversial film or story. I don't know. We'll see what the reaction is. But I think creatively, the creative team in place, and the cast is fantastic as well. So I think the elements are there. We have to see how it all comes together, because Blade Runner, the original, was kind of an accident in terms of how it connected with an audience. I mean, it bombed when it first came out. The critics didn't really care for it. It took, a decade approximately for it to finally catch fire with fans because of the discovery of the work print, which then led to the director's cut, which then led to the final cut. So it was kind of like this renaissance that the first film enjoyed. And this one there's perhaps no need for that on this one. This one might come out, it might be exactly the movie they want to make, and everything's great. I don't know if it's going to have the same mystique that the first film had through all those years of kind of the trials and tribulations of Blade Runner. So very curious to see how it turns out. And I wish I could say more, but
Blink
after
3 times if it's going to be good.
Yeah. And of course, everyone saw that on the podcast. Okay, we've got 4 more films to talk about and only about 10 more minutes. So I want to get through these. The trailer for It came out, and it looked pretty friggin' awesome.
I'm excited for this one.
And creepy. So, I want to, let's go down the line on It. And this has long been talked about, and it's a difficult film to translate from the original Stephen King book.
From what I hear, this is the first of 2 because they're going to focus on the children's story in the first one, the one we're getting this year, and the adult section of the book in the next one. The way that Pennywise looks in this, I wasn't sold on the still images, but the trailer, seeing that in motion, I think it's creepy, way scarier than even the original Curry version. But yeah, I'm excited for it. It looks like it's going to be a very scary movie.
Yeah, I think it looks great. I mean, I wasn't necessarily a fan of the original, but it's only because I saw it so long ago. I don't really remember it. I don't carry it with me every day. But the new trailer was fantastic, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. I really like that cast. I mean, with the kid from Stranger Things and who else. Mm-hmm. It seems like it's a really interesting group they've got together. So I'm not like dying to see it, but the new trailer was great, and everyone's reaction kind of got me excited to go see it. So I'll be along for the ride.
I'm probably a pass on this one. Apparently, I'm in the minority because it's the most watched trailer in history on YouTube. It's like 197 million views or something. It beat the Beauty and the Beast trailer in 2 days. But I don't know. I don't like. Maybe I'm more of a Tim Curry purist than I thought. I would not follow that clown into a sewer. It's too evil. It's too obvious.
I'll just pass for time.
Okay, good.
But I'm glad it's a theatrical thing, and it can be R-rated, and it can be scary, and it won't be bound by the restraints the television version had.
Kingsman was an entertaining ride. Do we need a Kingsman 2? I need to know, panel, right now, do we need a Kingsman 2? Because guess what? They made a Kingsman 2, and it's coming out this year. And Cliff, where do you
I very much like Kingsman. I didn't love Kingsman, especially coming off of Kick-Ass. I love Kick-Ass. So Kingsman was a little bit of a step down for me. So I'm not as into Kingsman 2 just because it feels like one step removed from something I didn't love already.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with that. Also because I saw Kingsman on an airplane and I thought it was really great, and then I watched it off an airplane and it wasn't as great as I thought, because everything's good on an airplane because otherwise you're just sitting on an airplane. I like that Penguin CG surfing movie on an airplane. I mean, I'll probably wait for video on this one.
A friend of mine and mutual friend, Cliff of mine and mine, if that's even English, he saw a rough cut of the film a week or 2 ago and said it was really great. So he's biased, but he's working on it. But I mean, he was genuinely enthusiastic about it. So I'm in.
Anthony, what do you know about Kingsman 2?
I may or may not have already seen it, and I signed an NDA, so I can't talk about it.
Blink 3 times if it's a good movie.
Okay, I've saved the best. Save the best 2 for last, I think.
Didn't care for it.
Coming out later this year, Thor Ragnarok. Picking up, Thor Ragnarok. We know that Doctor Strange is in the film. We know that we're all excited for this film. Thor Ragnarok is what we know about the Hulk in this film sounds incredible. We may see some Planet Hulk stuff. It's been described as a buddy movie with the Hulk and Thor in it. And we know Doctor Strange is in it. It's almost like every Marvel movie is just, sure, it's titled that character, but it's like a Marvel. Anyone used to collect those Marvel team-ups?
Marvel team-ups, yeah.
Marvel team-ups, which were awesome. It feels like they're doing Marvel team-up as a movie in a way. So, and every Marvel movie kind of just continues the story of that universe with little references and teases. You know, from the Spiderman Homecoming trailer, we know that Captain America's in it for a brief moment, which is pretty cool. But Thor Ragnarok, I know you guys are pumped. I know the audience is pumped, although they're just as tired as we are.
Are we all pumped? Are you sure?
I'm pumped. I'm pumped because I just love. I think they're gonna.
You're assuming a lot.
I think that they'll finally have gotten it right. I think Thor has been the weakest of the Marvel movies.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Thor has always been, in terms of the character films, the Captain Americas or of the Iron Mans, Thor has always been my least interesting ones, the ones that I kind of look forward to the least. But this one's got me very interested. Like the concept art we've seen, the little bit of footage we've seen, this one actually does have me interested.
I think what it is, there's, and also in the Thor universe, Loki is the best villain in the Marvel universe. Let's face it. Marvel has a villain problem. I think some of the better villains are in the DC universe. So Loki's the best villain, at least in terms of the Marvel cinematic universe. It's too bad that we'll never see. I hope one day to see a good Fantastic Four movie, because Fantastic Four, I think, has some of the better villains.
No, they don't need Fantastic Four movie. They just need Doom back.
Right. Well, this is the thing. Actually, and I'm not trying to do a plug for filmthreat.com, but if you all go to filmthreat.com on Friday, we ran a story. Someone did a fan film called Von Doom, and it's about the origin of Dr. Doom. So just go to filmthreat.com and look at the review section. You'll see there's actually a link to the movie. What?
It's not a plug.
It's not a plug.
It's
filmthreat.com.
You know what? Can I just rephrase? This is a plug, and I'm telling you to go to filmthreat.com to check out the Dr. Doom short film and the feature story that was written by Anthony Ray Bench on the panel here. So it's a fantastic piece because
thank you guys.
I'm a huge fan of Fantastic Four. I don't think I'll ever see in my lifetime a decent Fantastic Four movie. Yes, I did have the gray temples at one time, very Reed Richards, but now it's all silver. I'll never get to see a good Fantastic Four film. So I don't know. I think that's what's interesting about the Marvel universe is we need to see the continuation of these characters, right? And what we're going to see in Thor. Obviously, I'm grasping at straws. I want Thor to be good.
It'd be nice. I think it will be. I'm hoping they go as crazy as like Thor allows you to. I don't feel like Dark World did not. I think Dark World is probably the worst Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Although I still think it's okay. Like I don't.
Iron Man 2 is the worst.
I like Iron Man 2 better. At least I can remember the villain's name in that one.
Right.
But Thor 2 felt like issue 17 of a Thor series, or the issue came out just because there had to be an issue that month.
Right.
Whereas this hopefully becomes like a landmark event in the Marvel universe history, and it involves Hulk. I'm glad to see Hulk again. Like Hulk's been gone since Age of Ultron after he flew off sulking, and I'm interested to see him again. And I've always liked Thor and Hulk's interactions in the movies. So like if you're going to do a buddy picture with two of these guys, like those are the two I'd pick.
Do you think they're going to do a reference to one of the greatest moments in the Avengers when Hulk punches Thor, and that was hilarious?
I think you have to.
They got to do some follow-up to that or reference to it? Yeah. Yeah, cool. Anyone else? Any other thoughts before we get to our final film? And we have to move really quickly, so I'm just going to go to the final film. And then I'm going to do a very special DV Tuesday rapid fire in 1 minute on the 5-year anniversary of Attack of the Show going off the air. So there you go. Star Wars The Last Jedi comes out at the end of this year. I think that we're all excited to see it, but what do we want to see most in the film? Go, Cliff.
Okay, who loved Force Awakens? All right. Who didn't like Force Awakens?
Woo!
All right, you guys are all wrong. Force Awakens is awesome. The characters that they set up in Force Awakens, I'm so eager, probably not since the original Star Wars trilogy have I been this eager to get back into a story and figure out what the next chapter actually is. I cannot wait for this film. It's certainly at the top of my list for things that I'm dying to see this year. And I just think I'm so excited to get back with those characters.
Well, the middle film in the series is always the best one, right? Empire, Attack of the Clones.
Ew.
What? Matt, Last Jedi.
No, I definitely agree with that. I'm excited to see all the new characters again, but I also want to see Luke talk again. You know, like I want to see what Luke Skywalker is like now. Like, what is he going to be? Is he going to be all angry and weird? Is he going to be like, sullen and monkish? You know, like we don't know. I'm excited to see what Mark Hamill does in this movie.
I agree completely. I mean, the last 15 seconds or so of The Force Awakens, when that pained look on Mark Hamill's face, on Luke's face, I just wanted to see an entire movie of that, explaining that, what was going on with Luke. Everything else was fine, it was fun, but it was so painful to have to cut it off there because I just wanted to find out about Luke. And I agree with Cliff. I think these characters are far more compelling than the ones in the prequels, and I'm actually really excited to get back in to figure out what's going on. And I hope the world is a bit more clear, because I feel like Force Awakens had a lot of, ins and outs, and kind of it was unnecessarily complicated in many ways. And I hope we get a more cleaner appreciation of what's going on in that world. And after Force Awakens and Rogue One, I'd be curious to see how the new Lucasfilm Disney machine is going in terms of doing this one movie a year thing, because that can be exhausting. Oh, yeah, I'm wearing the shirt. But I that can be an exhausting enterprise to get out a big Star Wars movie once a year. So I think now we're going to start to see, can they maintain it?
And Anthony, the last comment on The Last Jedi.
I'm hopelessly optimistic about this. I didn't like The Force Awakens. I hope this one is good. I just want to see a movie where it's more about the story and less about, here are all these questions, and guess what? We're not going to answer them until the next movie.
Well, it's not J.J. Abrams, so I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, God. That was my biggest gripe with it. But it's Star Wars. I love Star Wars. Even the flawed movies, I still love them. Rogue One, in a lot of ways, was really flawed, but it felt like a Star Wars movie to me. More so than The Force Awakens, in a lot of ways. It's Star Wars. I can't wait. I'll be there. I hope it's good.
I just want to see the adventures of Luke Skywalker.
Yes.
That's what made me a Star Wars fan. I want to see Luke kick some ass. I want to see Luke as a badass. Let's find out what the Journal of the Wills is. Let's get some answers.
We also get to see Carrie Fisher one last time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We're going to be able to see her again, so it's going to be great.
Okay, let's get right to it. This is a quick DVD Tuesday rapid fire, courtesy of Wild Eye Releasing. Sent me some DVDs, and here's my thoughts on a bunch of movies that I didn't see. First, we have The Amazing Bulk. The Amazing Bulk, which looks just by the box. I think it's a ripoff of The Incredible Hulk. I'm excited to see it, and anyone who comes up here and grabs a DVD out of my hand can take one home.
Hey, Neil S. Bulk, get up here.
And you can tweet at me and tell me if you liked it. I've also got another movie called Shark Exorcist. Okay, I can't have people coming up. They can grab them on the way out. So when I'm going to go out that door, grab them on the way out. Our next movie is Shark Exorcist. Satan Has Jaws. This could be good. It could be in your hands because you can't rush the stage. Jurassic Prey. What do we know about Jurassic Prey? Prepare for extinction. I like the box, and I have to say I love bad movies. I am a huge fan of bad movies. So these are all the top of my list, and I'm going to end it with a movie I know you're all going to love. Stars Glenn Plummer, Rena Riffel, and Dewey Weber. It's Showgirls 2, Pennies from Heaven. There it is. Meet me out in the hall. I'll be passing out these DVDs. Thank you so much, WonderCon attendees.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, WonderCon folks, for taking care of us. You treat us so well. The volunteers, thank you to the volunteers. Want to thank everyone on our panel, Cliff Stephenson, Matt Keil, Charlie de Lauzirika, and Anthony Ray Bench. Please listen to the Film Threat podcast, download it. And we like to end every podcast by saying, what do we say?
Let's get out of here.
Thank you so much, WonderCon. Take care.